All right. All right. I promised myself I was going to do a video today, so let's get this done. I appreciate everybody who showed love on the last video, but this one I kind of still on the retirement front, but I kind of wanted to give some tangible and tactical advice. You know, a lot of people kind of get on here and kind of give theory, but I like to talk about things that I've actually done. I think that's, you know, when you talk about things that you actually done and you've seen success with, um, that goes a lot further than talking about kind of theory. So what I want to talk about today is I'm calling the theme of today the backwards plan. So what's a backwards plan? So that's kind of a technique we use in military planning. And mostly we use it daily, but we just don't call it backwards plan. But, you know, we have a date, an execution date, and a task, and then what we do is we backwards plan leading up to that date. So for example, if we got a convoy coming up, right, we're going to backwards plan up into that date of the convoy leaving. So we're going to do all our checks and balances, and we're going to make sure that we identify all the mission stoppers. All right, does the vehicle have gas? Does the vehicle, has it went through maintenance? You know, anything that could potentially stop the execution of that mission or that convoy is what we check on. And we do that in our daily lives too also, right? So for example, if you're going to take a road trip, you know, that's kind of like the civilian version of a convoy, right? If you're going to do a road trip, you're going to pre-plan. So, and you're going to backwards plan. So, you know, you're going to look at the distance. You're going to look at, hey, if it's a long trip, where you're going to potentially stop at to get fuel, where you're going to potentially stop at to lodge for the night. And, you know, going to make sure you got just, especially if you got kids, you're going to make sure you got the entertainment and make sure you got the snacks. So the same with that, it's kind of the same way we need to lean into retirement, especially when we get this first inkling that we want to go towards retirement. So real quick, a couple things I jotted down in reference to the mission stoppers that I had to identify in order for me to get to a point of saying that, yeah, I'm able to retire at this point. So the first is going to be everybody's favorite or least favorite is going to be budget, right? I ran a pretty stringent, I guess the word, budget, right? And I use a zero-based budget. So I identified all the sources of income that I had coming in. And then what I did, I gave, as Dave Ramsey would say, I gave every dollar a name until that reached zero. So the beginning of my budget would be everything that's coming in. The second part would be all the necessities, so insurances, utilities, and anything that was needed in order to make groceries, in order to make a household run. So your basic necessities, right? Food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. So running that budget was paramount because it made me see how much of my income whereas I actually living on. Is it 50%? Is it 80%? And maybe when there's people saying check to check, they living on 100% of their income. So 100% of their budget is going out towards things or whatnot. So with that and running budget through years, I understood just by looking at a spreadsheet how much it actually cost me to live for a year. So budget. So I normally run I still run my budget to this day. I run it on a monthly basis. I know the bills, and then I put it down, and now I know how much expendable income I have in order to put towards investments, etc. So number one is going to be definitely budget. All right. Number two was getting rid of consumer debt and student loans too. So my last deployment, I had a goal. I said, I don't care if I come out of this deployment with $0. As long as I come out of this with no debt, I'm going to consider that a win. And I had tons of student loan debt, but you know, that's having that concentration. Probably halfway through my deployment, I was paid off my student loan. And guess what? Once you hit that button to pay off your student loan, confetti doesn't fall. Nobody's going to give you a pat on the back. Ain't no congratulations or whatnot. But it is going to be, you're all going to feel a weight lift off your shoulder by, you know, paying off the student loans and getting those credit cards taken care of, whatever. And since I was so focused, I actually paid it off way faster than I thought. And then, I still had maybe 6 months on my deployment. I was able to stack my bread at that point. So definitely getting rid of the consumer debt and being able to keep more pieces of the pie. And when I talk about pie, I'm talking about your paycheck, is important. So the next one that kind of get at everybody is it's going to be health insurance. You got to figure out what your health insurance situation is going to be post-retirement. Maybe you're married and you can lean on your spouse's health insurance. Again, military wise, we retire, we still get access to our TRICARE or our the insurance that we had in the military. Even post-military, you do have to pay a premium. So I do pay a premium every month. I have minor children too, so they need health insurance, dental, and they wear glasses too. So optometry. But again, that was already in my budget. So I understood what that was going to cost me post-military duty. Right. And also what they say is, one major, one health scare incident, or you got to get helicoptered out somewhere, that could really blow any plan and blow your budget when you get that bill and you're like, oh, how I'm going to pay this. I'm going to pay this. I'm not paying it out of pocket. All right, the next one that I hear a lot about is going to be kids' education, right? So you hear the horror stories, folks taking out second mortgages and second mortgages. Oh, let me let this dog out. Coming out? Come on. Move it. All right. So the next one is going to be kids' education. So kids' education important. And like I said before Pia came out here, that you hear the horror stories all the time, right? People taking out second mortgages or co-signing on a kid's loan, then the kid default on the loan, then they coming after you. So you definitely got to make sure that you have a plan in reference to your kids' education if you have children. My recommendation is always, those first, and I went to I got a bachelor's degree, right? But even when I got my bachelor's degree, I was like, yo, this first 2 years was kind of whack. So I definitely recommend a state institution or community college for those first 2 years. And then let them try to see if they like it. They might not even be, they might think they want to go to school and be like, nah, I want to go to the workforce, or my talents are needed elsewhere, maybe a trade or something like that. So let's make sure you do not pay up. Let's make sure you do not break the bank in reference to school. Stop, my dogs. My dog and my neighbor's dogs be going crazy out here. So let's pick it back up. I think I hit the education point up, but again, community college, state college, or a trade. Definitely a trade. And the way that things are going in reference to AI and everything like that, let's make sure you're staying on point with the trends that's going on, to make sure that you're steering your kids in the right direction of something that's going to be marketable in the workplace. All right, and the last one is cash flow. So when I backwards plan, and again, back to the budget, backwards plan, I'm like, I'm going to need to, in order to live the lifestyle I want to live, I'm going to need to make up a certain amount of dollars. So what I did, one thing that I did, obviously, military, I'm going to pension. So I know I'm going to have that income and cash flow. And pension is definitely mailbox money, right? I've done the work forward to monthly get a pension. Then I got a rental property. So rental property, again, I'm a Dave Ramseyite. I paid for a rental property cash, which provided me two things. One is if all things failed, I had a place to go if I needed to have a shelter over my head, right? Also, I ran that property for a year, and I just looked at what would it cost me to float it with no renters in it, right? And which was pretty cheap because it was paid for or whatever. So I never had to have the stress of having a mortgage for that property or whatever. And somebody's in it right now, and it's cash flowing or whatever. So definitely figuring out the cash flow. So me, and for my military veterans that's watching this, I never counted anything to do with VA disability, anything like that. I never put that into my numbers because that was a hope, and you can't plan off of hope. I apologize for these dogs over here. I can't plan off of hope. or whatever. So let me wrap this up. These dogs making me wrap it up. But again, so quick recap. So 1, budget. 2, get rid of that consumer debt. 3, understand where your health insurance is going to come from. 4, kids education. And then 5, just try to, if need be, because you might be good, but if need be, figure out where you're going to find that additional cash flow, whereas a, a, a job, or might work something in the gig economy or something like that if it's needed or whatever. So let's understand that. And if you understand those 5 things, it'll make the decision, because the decision is the hardest part, right? Especially when I put on that 2-week notice or whatever, that decision is going to be the hardest part of the task. So again, thanks for watching the last video. If you got any value out of this, just go ahead, like, comment. I can answer any questions also. And then if you feel like it, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate it also. So again, if you're watching this video, you probably looking towards retirement or what that looks like, and I'm just here to try to show you and provide some tangible steps on getting there. So again, that's it. I'm out. Peace. One, all that good stuff. Holla.